And at the end, I'll save the chat before I get out. So let me share screen with myself. I'm trying to make it full screen. How can I make it full screen? Let's see if I do this. Is that full screen for you now?
Yes.
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 Okay, great. Whoops. I'm trying to get my little, because I'm the host, I've got these little boxes over here. I'm trying to move them over. I don't know if it shows up on your end or not, but there we go. Okay, let's see if that works. So, come on. Where's my, I have to get my mouse back in the middle before it'll work. There we go. As the world continues to battle the COVID-19 virus and its new strain that is even more contagious, we are beginning to see a light at the end of the tunnel as vaccines go into people's arms. Societies worldwide who have used bandages to cover all their ills are watching the virus strip away those bandages, and instead of a nice healthy scab covering a healing wound, we are finding festering ulcerated wounds in our society, impacting those who live in poverty or on its edge. Aspects of our lives that make us feel safe and secure are stripped away by this virus. Food, housing, health, income, and support. Add to the virus's stripping of basic securities, the world in 2020 has also had to cope with more massive changes in our climate. Hurricanes, droughts, floods, fires, tornadoes, rising sea levels, winter storms, and the list goes on. The Center for Development in Central America, the CDCA, is a project of the Jubilee House community, a US 501c3 nonprofit formed 40 years ago for service with the poor in North Carolina, and has been addressing these changing issues for 27 years in Nicaragua, one of the poorest countries in the Americas and Caribbean, and also recognized as one of the most affected nations in the world due to climate change with the impact of others' carbon footprints. We understand the insecurities that those living in poverty deal with day in and day out. We have seen with our own eyes the devastation of climate change in this small nation. We have been and continue to work with people living in poverty through 4 main focus areas of work. The first, sustainable agriculture to ensure food and cash crops for farmers of small farms and cooperatives in a way that protects the land, air, and water. The second, sustainable economic development to give work and income to those who struggle to feed their families. The third, healthcare for people living in poverty to secure consistent and specialized care for their bodies and their children's bodies and minds. And the fourth, education in farming, business, and public health, and to teach those who have resources about the realities of those who do not, in order to create a healthier and more equitable world. With climate change, sustainable agriculture becomes a shakier and shakier prospect each year. In 2020, Nicaragua was having a good year of rains and crops were growing well until November, when Nicaragua was hit by 2 hurricanes in 2 weeks. Let me say that again. Nicaragua was hit by two category 4 and 5 hurricanes in just 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And these hurricanes were named Eta and Iota because there were so many hurricanes in 2020 that names had to be used from the Greek alphabet. November is traditionally the beginning of harvest time for most crops here because the rains have usually stopped. But instead, the crushed crops started rotting in the fields. Nicaragua lost most of its bean crop, the main source of protein for poor families. And without irrigation in the dry season, farmers cannot plant again until May or June when the rains are expected to start. We work with one small organic coffee cooperative on top of a remote mountain who lost their organic bean crop, their organic sesame crop, and their organic coffee crop was damaged. To what extent yet, they do not know. This coffee cooperative struggles year after year to stay afloat and protect their land. Countrywide, most of the organic sesame seed crop survived. Sesame is a good cash crop for farmers. The organic agricultural cooperative with whom we work, CoPro-Xnique, helps the farmers obtain organic certification as well as process, ship, and market their crops to buyers in the US, Europe, and Canada. CoPro-Xnique runs a world-class sesame processing plant, giving full-time jobs to 42 people. With our help, renovations are constantly being done to the plant, and recently they obtained equipment that will allow them, for example, to process a batch of sesame seed using 80 gallons of water instead of the 2,000 gallons currently being used. Together with CoPro-Xnique, we are searching for ways to be more ecologically and economically sound. One other major crop is organic peanuts. Peanuts are susceptible to fungus with too much rain, which creates aflatoxins in the peanuts. We'll be able to see what kind of damage the hurricanes did when the processing actually starts. The hurricanes devastated the North Caribbean coast of Nicaragua. We had only 27 deaths because the government evacuated 100,000 vulnerable people before both hurricanes hit and provided temporary shelter. But 3 million people were affected, almost half the nation, with $743 million in damages overall in 56 municipalities, with 5,800 homes destroyed and another 38,000 homes partially destroyed, as well as serious damage to public health clinics and schools. The government, even with its limited financial resources, is now spending a great deal on hurricane relief. Food prices are going up with the devastation of crops. The CDCA has also responded to the hurricanes, thanks to generous donations and supporters like you. We have sent several truckloads of used clothing, hygiene kits, blankets, and food to the Caribbean coast as recovery is ongoing, and have been coordinating with the Rotary Club of Ciuidad Sandino to distribute other needed supplies and to provide bean seed for immediate replanting in the worst hit areas, using the residual ground moisture to quickly eke out another bean crop wherever possible. And all the while, Nicaragua, like the rest of the world, is dealing with COVID-19. This nation has not shut down, and its economy is doing better than most. Nicaragua has done an amazing job of keeping down deaths due to COVID. While the National Health Ministry's official numbers of COVID-19 deaths are lower than any other Latin American nation, as reflected in these World Health Organization graphs, other unofficial estimates are also very low. We have had increases in deaths from pneumonia, but still not anything like other nations have had. Now in 2021, we are again experiencing an upswing in the virus and in respiratory issues. But unlike many hospitals in the States, we have hospital beds and ICU space available. In Nueva Vida, a neighborhood of more than 12,000 people formed on the edge of Ciudad Sandino after Hurricane Mitch hit decades ago, along with our ever-increasing patient load, we are seeing more COVID-like cases in our Nueva Vida clinic, and we do not have testing abilities. Last year, we implemented strict pandemic procedures. Our doctors look like aliens, but all 3 doctors contracted the virus last year, and so we are careful. We check in patients outside. Patients sit or stand socially distanced and have to wear masks. Clinic staff wear masks and face shields. Exam rooms are disinfected after each patient. For months, chronic care patients, the elderly, those with diabetes and hypertension who are at high risk of mortality, receive their monthly medications delivered to their own homes. Last year, we cut back clinic services and even closed for 1 month when our doctors were ill. But with vaccinations going to wealthier nations and poorer nations having no idea how long they'll have to wait, we decided together with program and community leaders that people needed our services and that we would reopen. Our Rotary has also been working, distributing hygiene supplies and setting up hand washing stations in public places like parks and markets and schools and churches. In addition to responding to illness, our Nueva Vida Clinic services offer services on special days of the week for healthy patients, such as EKGs for heart monitoring, family planning, including implants and Pap screening for cervical cancer, ultrasounds for pregnancy monitoring and finding tumors, tears, and stones in organs. We provide vision checks and do pregnancy, infant care, and asthma education one-on-one with social distancing instead of in classes. We have started public education back up in smaller groups, also socially distanced, everyone wearing masks. Our boys and girls support groups have grown, and it is particularly challenging to keep them safe and learning, but we do our best. Our pharmacy has glass between the patients and staff. Our lab tech is very careful with wearing personal protective equipment, as are our dental staff, who are probably at the highest risk. We give preventive dental care to all the children in Orphan Network's feeding centers, now that they have reopened their centers. Our therapist has been swamped with cases of trauma and fear from the uncertainty with the virus and with food prices going up. She is supposed to only work half-time, but now volunteers for 2 additional afternoons to attend adults and children. She also did telecounseling the month we were closed. The cost of all the protective gear, the cleaning, the disinfecting, etc., has increased our clinic expenses. We've provided masks for all our staff, including non-clinic staff, and require the wearing of them on our properties. We have hand washing stations outside all our buildings and gates. Alcohol sprays and gels are at all desks and workspaces. We make our own bleach to try to economize, but keeping the virus at bay is costly. And as we try to keep costs down, we appreciate all the help that we continue to receive from people like you. Caring donors have kept the work going. For example, in the beginning of 2020, the CDCA was just starting to host delegations and volunteers again after the political unrest of 2018. And then COVID hit. With the continuing loss of delegations, the CDCA again lost $100,000 in revenue and $50,000 in donated medicines and medical supplies formerly brought by volunteers. With COVID, working from home, we also were not able to travel anywhere to speak about this work, so I couldn't come see you. Trips which often brought in about $60,000 a year. But our educational work continues. We're grateful to have learned to educate and speak in alternative ways with Zoom presentations like this one and through social media. We're posting regularly. Our blog posts with information about what is going on with our work, with Nicaragua and issues around poverty, climate change, and faith. We met our fundraising goal for Giving Tuesday, enabling us to move forward with establishing a digital medical record-keeping program and its tools needed for the clinic. With climate change, we're trying to save on paper. This program will save 8 trees worth of paper a year. We continue quarterly newsletters that give, borrowing a phrase from PBS NewsHour, a brief but spectacular view of the CDCA and its projects. And the project at Casa Ben Linder, designed to not only provide hospitality to those visiting Managua, but space for art, entertainment, and solidarity with Nicaragua, is continuing while enforcing pandemic safety precautions. There is much to do to heal the ulcerated wounds that COVID-19 uncovered and to heal our climate. The World Bank estimates that the pandemic will push 150 million people into extreme poverty this year due to economic instability. And by 2030, 132 million more people due to climate change. Extreme poverty is defined as living on less than $1.90 per day. Your help is needed. There is much to do. As we look worldwide at the ulcerated wounds that need cleaning on behalf of those in poverty, how can anything that one person, one church, one Rotary Club do to make a difference? Well, for example, in sustainable agriculture, subscribe to receive a monthly amount of organic coffee from farmer shares for yourself or as a gift. In sustainable economic development, make a gift or loan to the Vita Fund, which provides revolving loans for co-correct sneaks cooperatives farmers. Education, give to provide a month of internet service at the clinic so that health and disease information can go out digitally to Nueva Vida patients. Health, a woman can have safe family planning for 3 to 5 years with an implant. Climate change, donate to switch the CDCA's office and the Nueva Vida clinic to solar power. Good for the earth and good for the clinic's ongoing operational funding. You can make a difference. Together, we can begin to clean those wounds. Thank you.
Wow.
Do we have time for any questions?
We sure do. Sarah, what were y'all building a hospital 3 years ago? Last time we saw you, what? I'm trying to remember what was going on with the clinic or hospital.
The hurricane, the huge hurricane that hit Nicaragua 2 decades ago in the fall of '98, Hurricane Mitch, dumped 12,000 people under little, teepees of black plastic in the tropical sun. That's like putting people in solar cookers on the edge of the city of Ciuidad Sandino. And with a lot of volunteer help, much of it was medical volunteers, we were able to get permission from the city to build a clinic in that neighborhood. And that clinic has been gradually expanding over the years. As the National Health Services have picked up more and more of sort of what you might call routine care for people, our clinic has been the place to expand into specialized services. So for example, the ultrasound or the EKGs or the birth control implants or the vision checks with donated glasses, those sorts of things. And also our clinic has been able to provide education, public health education for people. So that we had a young woman who said the clinic education saved her life because she recognized from her prenatal classes that something was wrong with her pregnancy. And she sought treatment because she knew something was wrong and she would have died if she had not. So those kinds of things. But as a result, we sort of keep hitting at, doing a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And our clinic is now 3 buildings and we still have not finished the 3rd building. So the answer is yes, we were building it when I was with you in 2015. And yes, we're still trying to get it done. With no volunteer groups coming, they used to mix cement and stuff like that. We don't have the crew to do the work. We have to hire people if we're going to do it. And we've been putting all our funding toward COVID supplies and keeping the clinic operational. So does that answer your question?
Yes. Just, I guess it's with COVID, it's a matter of survival for the time being.
It really is. The business of keeping everybody in PPE so they can be safe, setting up the extra patient waiting space, all that sort of stuff costs money. But we have not fired or laid off anybody, not in our clinic staff, not in our office staff, nowhere. We haven't fired or laid off anybody because we've received enough support in donations for which we are so grateful. That's always our #1 priority in any given month, the utility bills and our Nicaraguan staff salaries.
I noticed that a lot of it, everything that you were talking about was all organic. Are all the crops organic?
No, not in Nicaragua, but the CDCA, the Jubilee House Community Project, the Center for Development in Central America, our purpose is to respond to the needs of poor people. And 27 years ago, when we first arrived in Nicaragua, we were doing little individual projects. This little community needed help with a health center, or that little community needed help with a 2-room school or whatever. Well, you're visiting with people and you're talking to farmers, and what do you grow? Well, we grow sesame. Well, where do you sell it? Well, we sell it in Managua to this one buyer. Well, what do you get for it? Well, essentially nothing. Well, are you putting any chemicals on your crops? Well, no, we don't have any money for chemicals. Then you are growing organic. And so what we have been able to do is to help this cooperative develop that then serves as a group for enough of these little tiny farmers that they can get organic inspection and organic certification. And then for the same amount of farming work, they can sell their crop internationally as organic and receive more money for it. But we're the only people doing that in Nicaragua with this cooperative.
I just asked about the organic because I was wondering if chemicals wouldn't help their crop, survive better, or better survivability of all the problems that you were talking about.
Well, they don't have any money for irrigation for starters. So that's a big one. And so they're dependent on rainfall, which means they're really susceptible to climate change. But they don't have any money for chemicals. So as long as they're not putting chemicals on it anyway, if they get certified as organic, they get more money for exactly the same amount of work. And it's better for the planet, and it's better for the world. It's better for us who eat stuff. It costs more when you buy organic, when you buy actual, really organic, not just people who pretend they're being organic. And the farmers get the profits from the international buyers, the folks at, once again, Nut Butter and Farmer Shares Coffee. They send their profits back to the farmers. So at the end of the year, if the estimate of what costs are didn't come out quite as high as it actually turned out, I mean, if the estimates were higher than actually turned out, there's a little extra that comes back to the farmers. And as a matter of fact, after the hurricane, one of those buyers sent a check to help the farmers with hurricane relief. So there's good news for the planet if we all move towards organics and away from the chemicals that we eat. And they don't want to go the chemical route. They want to stay organic if they can. There are lots of other farmers in Nicaragua who are growing crops with chemicals. They're growing for big growers and receiving basically sharecropper sorts of wages.
So Farmer Shares is just coffee. Do I understand that correctly?
Farmer Shares is just coffee. You can order a subscription of, deliver this much to my house every month, and it comes fresh roasted and either ground or whole bean as you want. Once again, Nut Butter in upstate New York sells the sesame in the form of tahini. And we are biased, but it really is the best tahini. All of it's pricey, but then farmers are actually making a living.
But there's no outlet for the twisted spoons and the other artisans that are
not why we can't travel with COVID. There's some of that sitting in my daughter's basement in Massachusetts, but she doesn't have any way to deal with it. She's holding down a full job, being a single mom and homeschooling all at the same time. So I can't go into your basement and try to dig out some spoons to send to her list of jobs. If there was some place that wanted to take all the crafts I have left and just receive it and then say, okay, this is what we have, who wants to buy it, and figure out some kind of a online virtual way to do it, I could have her send the whole shoot match to somebody, but I can't have her go through it in bits and pieces.
I understand. It just seems like there's an opportunity there to set up like an Etsy store. Amazon's still shipping with COVID, and so
but we can't, if we ship from here, we have to pay like DHL delivery prices.
Is that right?
Yeah, we can't the airlines haven't come back to full business, and so like we can't mail regular letters from here. Just put an airmail stamp on a letter and send it. We used to be able to do that, and it costs about the same as mailing an airmail stamp in the States. We can't do that anymore. And so another generation person of the Jubilee House community, Joseph in New Jersey. I am sending him PDF files that he's printing and sending out our paper thank you letters from there because we don't have any way to mail them from here.
Wow, the challenge is makes us more aware here in the frozen condition without power and water and so forth, how richly we're blessed.
Well, I think, Joe, I think you and at least Jessica got our e-newsletter. So feel free to pass that around and share it if you wish. It catches you up in more detail. It doesn't talk so much about the Rotary Club, but it does a little bit in terms of hurricane relief and getting the bean crop in the ground. But the Rotary Club has really been busy also trying to get aquaponics started in people's backyards to do fish and vegetable growing and all kinds of stuff along with COVID relief and hurricane relief. Yeah.
I think.
Other questions, anyone?
Well, I am
Thank you
delighted to
for
be
the
with
work you're
you.
doing.
I hope I've been diverting enough for you to forget how cold you are.
Absolutely.
But if you haven't put, I'm gonna save our chat and save what you've put over there if you've put your emails and things. And I am currently the host, so I will stay on until you're done and then I can end the meeting and that, unless you need me to go away. Do you need me to go away?
You don't have to go away, but you can share the hosting to Joe and then he can run the meeting.
Oh, I could do that. Yes, I can. Okay, let me see if I can save this file first before I do that. There we go.
Sarah, Jessica said that on our agenda is a link. Does that have like the slideshow that you just showed us? Can we see that there on your, I guess that's a link to your website?
Now that I'm looking at it, I'm seeing that it's not linking. I'll email out a link to everybody so that they can have it.
Do you want what I just did today? Because I just updated this a little bit with the winter storm stuff and some more recent pictures. Do you want, I can put this online and send you a YouTube link to it if you'd like.
Sure,
Yeah.
I'd like to
Yeah.
share it with our other members that are not here.
Okay. Okay,
Right.
so I'll send it to you. It won't be like in 30 seconds or anything, but yeah.
If you do, then we can put it on our Facebook.
Okay.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
We can post it on our Facebook and that way everybody can see it, and we can also put it on our website,
Good
Okay.
on our
idea.
club website.
Good
Well,
idea.
you can help yourself. I'll make sure I do that then, and I'll send you the link to it when I get it done.
Okay, and will there be a link there for people if they want to sign up for the coffee?
Yes, but I can put that in the chat right now.
Well, I'm just thinking if we put it on Facebook. on
Okay,
our Facebook.
I put the link in the video, in the PowerPoint. I put it on the screen. I put the Farmer Shares card on the screen. So if you happen to freeze it at that moment, you can get it off of that. I've also put it here. It's farmershares.com. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay,
And-
I'll put it
and
on the
it's-
Facebook.
It's in, the link is also in the newsletter that you have to share around.
Oh, okay. Okay. And that's the link to the video that you just shared? The YouTube you just shared?
Farmershares.com is the link to the coffee place.
Oh, okay,
And the
okay.
coffee place is also in the newsletter that you got, the e-newsletter that you can share around. I'll have to save this video thingy recording and turn it into a MP4 and put it online, and then I can send you that link fresh.
Okay,
Okay?
thanks. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to turn the host over to Joe, and thank you so much for letting me come back and visit Kennedale. And please stay warm and don't freeze.
Thank you.
And thank you for scheduling so quickly and easily.
I'll come back again. It's easy. Just invite me anytime. Well, I'm trying to find Joe here to oh, there he is. I'm going to make you the host, Joe. There you go.
I think Joe's frozen. Oh, God. Joe's frozen.
Joe, you're the host now. Do you want me to leave the recording on, or do you want me to go ahead and turn it off?
He's frozen.
I think he's frozen too.
Do you want me to make some? Oh, I made him the host, so now I can't unmake him.
I think he just dropped off. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to stop this recording, and thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Sarah. Oh, boy. So when she drops off, I don't know.